What's going on, everybody? So last year at CanJam SoCal, Wayne and I were texting each other back and forth, and I'd sit there and say, "Hey, you should come check this out," or he'd be like, "Hey, you should come check this out." But then I get this like really violent message saying, "You need to get over here now. It's an emergency," and I'm like, "What the hell?" So I met him over at FATfreq at their booth. And it was almost like a drug deal going down because there was a secret prototype and we were in the back room and they just shoved it in my hands and they were like, take a listen. And I remember, much like every Fat Freak, it had like this thunderous, nice bass, these very clear detail mids, and nice sparkly treble. And it was just really, really good. So I take it out of my ears, and Wayne's like excitedly looking at me, going, "Hey, it's a freaking planar." And I was like, "What?" Because you don't automatically put monster bass and planar together, especially in the IEM side. Like if you put sus and A1C, that thing slams. But I'm talking about specifically in IEMs. It's very rare to have a planar that slams. In fact, I think this is the first one that slams like it does. But anyway, so Wayne's super excited. I'm excited. And it's, of course, a prototype, so we had to wait. So fast forward to CanJam New York this year. Wayne was able to go, but I was there, and I met with him again and was able to hear the final prototype, and it was more refined, but awesome. So we've had to wait a couple months, but last week we got the email, gave our money, boom, and we got shipping notice, and poor Wayne, the boy's been like a crackhead, like literally waiting for so long to get this IEM. He's been so excited. Well, we finally got him last Thursday, and that boy has been listening to it all weekend long. I've been getting so many texts. Barely been able to sit there and, do the review stuff myself because he's texting me so much. But without further ado, I am going to be reviewing today the FATfreq Effect Audio Quantum. All right, so the FATfreq Effect Audio Quantum retails for $759. It is a 14.2 millimeter ultra-fast planar driver. All right, so let's get to the unboxing. Got this simple little box, which is nice. Slide this off. Got the FATfreq logo. At the bottom, there'll be these flaps. Lift them up. You'll get your card that you usually get with FATfreq products. Welcome to the family. Inside, you'll find this metal puck. It's pretty nice. Quantum with FATfreq and Effect Audio. Then you've got the two companies' logos on the bottom. Spin it off. And here are your Quantum. Now, since it is with Effect Audio, you get the Aries S2 cable, which is a very nice cable. And then, as you can see, the Super Stage NOAA modules in. Because this was the first batch edition, I also have the blue and the black. I'll discuss those later, how they affect the sound. You've got your ear tips and your cleaner. All right, so let's talk about fit and finish. As you can see, it's got a nice metal face. You can see the Super Stage module sticking up there at the top, and a nice black back. Metal construction, so very sturdy. Not heavy at all, and it's small, so no issues with comfort. We've done a review before on Effect Audio cables, so this is the Aries 2, a very beautiful cable, very nice, and you know my rule, got to be able to wrap it up and sit it comfortably in my hand, which, as you can see, it does nicely without going crazy. So pound for pound, really good. All right, so let's talk about how the Quantum sound. Three things: speed, clarity, and bass. Excuse me. So let's start with the speed. I remember the first time that I ever heard a planar driver headphone, and it was the Ananda Nanos. and I put on Playing God, and my mouth hit the floor, mainly because the speed of it all. So, Polyphia, virtuoso, guitar players, crazy, talented, amazing. And their drummer is also amazing, and he's playing those cymbals and everything. But it's about speed because they play so quickly. And these planars, the Quantum, much like the Nana Nanos, you can't beat them. Like they just get all that speed, and then that's where it comes to clarity because when you put those two together, you never miss a note. Like it's just they play so quickly. I've got another one that I've been using recently too. It's by Sincato, and it is one of his newer songs called Codex. And again, how quickly he plays, the drummer in the background is just amazing because it's so precise, it's so clean. It just sounds amazing. Now, also, when you go back to Polyphia and Playing God, there's that sub bass hit, and it has that too. So when you put those three things together, it makes it a very unique sounding IEM. Like it's just fantastic because when you think of a planar, again, especially in IEM form, you don't think of that huge sub bass and good kick to the mid bass. What's even cooler about that is that you've got these modules, the Noah modules. So essentially, you can change the sound or the bass in these IEMs. So I have the super stage on. And what the super stage does is it makes a wider and deeper stage for your music. So it actually works extremely well. Like you feel the depth there. You feel how wide it is. You play. And the other thing about it too is with these planars, like I just mentioned, pretty much rock music. But you can play a whole bunch of different styles of music, Billie Eilish, Dominique Fillon, jazz, classical, like with that clarity and that speed, they work well, especially the way it's tuned. So we'll get to the tuning real quick before I get into the modules. The tuning is very, very deep sub bass. Good kick to the mid bass. So very nice. Those things covered. Some detail there. So it's just not blah, 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 blah. And especially when you change the modules, but I get getting ahead of myself. The mids are very clean, very articulate. Guitars sound like guitars. Things are supposed to sound like they're what they're supposed to sound like. But there's a cleanliness and there's an airiness because once you get up into the treble, you've got a lot of extension. The treble's not hidden. It's there. It's prominent. I'm treble sensitive, but I haven't had any issues with these. So it's tuned very, very well. So it's not in your face and cause you to have semblance and just a burning ear, which I get sometimes. So the overall tuning is kind of like a slightly U. And it's just very, very good. It plays well with a lot of genres, the all-arounder kind of thing. But back to the super stage. So the super stage is going to give you a bigger staging. When your music is produced that way, you'll have this huge stage, depth, width. When you switch to the Black Noah module, what it essentially does is more intimate. So you go from a huge concert hall to essentially an intimate jazz club, right? But the bass is still there. In fact, I think it hits a little bit harder because the bass is diffusing a little bit in the super stage, but it still hits really hard. But if you want like the hardest hitting bass, it would definitely be the Black module. Same thing with the Blue module, where the Black module is for that sub bass thwap. The Blue module is more for the rumble. So it dials it back just a little bit, but you're going to have not more polite bass because it still hits, especially the mid and the sub bass, but it's going to be more accurate in a sense. It's not going to be as heavy, and it's going to play really well with kind of like string basses and things like that because it's going to sound very, very good. So you get these three modules so you can switch up the way your sound is, which is fantastic. Being able to listen to multiple genres of music, the speed and the accuracy is just very, very good. So all around, this is kind of a special IEM. Talked about before, $800 has gotten really freaking ridiculous because we had the Legion just drop. And the Legion shoots up. We've got the Jomo Nautilus, and it shoots up. So you're paying $800, but it sounds like something that's 16, 17, 18, up to 2,000. Like it, they really punch up. And honestly, with the clarity, the bass, and just how unique the sound is on these Quantum, they do the same thing. It's crazy. And then we also have the Cantor too, which I feel jumps up to $1 IEM for 7 something. So we're living in a great time for IEMs. And I feel like this is a very special planar because it presents itself very uniquely, especially with that killer sub bass and mid bass, and being able to tune it in a sense to your liking. That pound for pound, this is one of the best IEMs that's out there. All right. So is the Effect Audio FATfreq Quantum a buy? Again, I brought up earlier in the video that I feel like the $800 price is high for a lot of people, but the quality that you're getting nowadays is actually spectacular. And having a really awesome planar at this price range that gives you speed and clarity, and then on top of that, bass is pretty special. So if you're looking for something that's kind of unique in a sense because of just the driver and the way the driver is articulated to perform, which is kind of cool, then yes, definitely. If you're a planar fan and you've always kind of like been upset because there's not enough bass, this would be a good one. If you listen to a lot of rock or something that's virtuosic with a lot of speed and you want to hear that speed and detail, this would be great. But also something that on the flip side, if you want to sit and chill, you could listen to this too and listen to various types of music. So pound for pound, it's a great all-arounder, very unique, and a very, very good IEM at this price point. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to ask, and I'll see you in the next video.